Crossings are on the rise again, putting enormous strain on Customs and Border Protection. Homeland Security is now renewing calls for volunteers to help out at the southern border. Let's bring in Arizona Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, member of the Border Security Caucus. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us today. We just got done showing our viewers that video out of Arizona in your state. We have seen a surge in border crossings, 30% in July, and nowhere has there been more than in that Tucson, Arizona sector. 40,000 arrests last month, reportedly. That's the highest one-month total in 15 years. Can you respond to that video of those migrants out in that 100-degree-plus weather in Arizona and that surge that's happening currently in your state?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. And I've gone to the border numerous times down in the Tucson border sector, Yuma, and elsewhere. And it continues to be a disaster. So the picture you're seeing of the illegal immigrants outside could all be solved if President Biden would actually secure the border. I mean, just look at the numbers. In June of 2020, when Trump was still the president, there was 33,000 crossings. Fast forward to June of 2023, there was 145,000 crossings. And as you said, the numbers are going up. The Washington Post thinks it's going to be as many as 180,000 in the month of July. And so if he would simply follow the law and secure the border, all these problems would be solved.
New York City, the mayor here has been asking for $4.3 billion to help with some 56,000 migrants that have overwhelmed the city's shelter system here. He has only been given about $140 million. What is your response to the fact that you have New York City, a sanctuary city, not getting what they think they deserve here in trying to deal with this crisis from the Biden administration?
Well, it's a little hard for me to feel sorry for New York City when Arizona has been dealing with this problem for decades, and especially since Biden has become in office. I mean, they got $140 million from FEMA. Arizona did not get that. So I know one of our sitting U.S. senators is livid about it, and I'm livid about it, too. Just because Chuck Schumer is in charge of the Senate doesn't mean that Arizona shouldn't get some money too. I mean, it's just not fair. It's outrageous. They need to secure the border for our national security, but also for the children. I mean, there's girls that are being raped, sold into sex slavery, young boys being sold into sex slavery. I talked to Secretary Becerra. They're not even vetting properly the sponsors that they're sending these unaccompanied children to. And it's just outrageous. It's a national security thing, but it's also harming the illegal immigrants themselves.
So I wanted to get to this fact that, there's been back-to-back years, right, of highest migrant deaths in history. We've had the most illegal crossings in our history in back-to-back years. You have the most unaccompanied minors in history. A lot of attention has been put on DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Talk about potentially an impeachment of Mayorkas. I'm wondering where that stands now, because there has been reporting that you guys have had a tough time getting some Republicans to come on board with that. Do you think he should be impeached? And have you heard anything from your colleagues that the tide may be turning, that those who were not convinced may now be on board?
Well, I hope they're convinced, because Mayorkas deserves to be impeached. He's not fulfilling his constitutional duties to protect our country and secure the border. He's also lied to Congress and to the American people. So the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee has said that he wants to go forward with impeaching Mayorkas. And of course, I'm also supportive, quite frankly, changing subjects a bit, of an impeachment inquiry on Joe Biden himself.
Okay, I want to switch gears here to COVID-19, because you are also on the select subcommittee, the origins of COVID-19. There's this interesting letter that was written to Nature Medicine, if we can pull that up here. It was written by scientists and experts who are upset about this particular paper that was published in March of 2020 that was very much influenced by Dr. Anthony Fauci. And this letter from these scientists says, quote, the paper played an influential role, indeed the central role, in communicating the false narrative that science established that COVID-19 entered humans through natural spillover and not through research-related spillover. The author's statements show that the paper was and is a product of scientific misconduct. Your response to that, but also whether or not you believe that the government should make public everything they know about COVID-19, all of the intelligence, because as of right now, it is deemed inconclusive about where this came from.
I absolutely believe they need to make all the information public. We already voted to do that in Congress, and so I don't know what the holdup is. But we had a recent hearing where Dr. Anderson, a scientist, and Dr. Gary came in front of our COVID Select Subcommittee. And on January 31st of 2020, they sent emails to Dr. Fauci saying, oh my gosh, we don't think this is natural origin COVID-19. And so 3 days later, they're involved in a paper called Proximal Origin, the first draft, which totally says the opposite, that they think it's natural origin. Well, in between those 3 days, there was a conference call with Dr. Fauci. So we're trying to get to the bottom of it, Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives, and we are getting to the bottom of it. But we need all of the intelligence to come out, because if what I believe is true, that there was a leak from the Wuhan lab in China that was covered up by our government, we need to get to the bottom of it so it doesn't happen again.
We absolutely do need to get to the bottom of it, and more transparency is always better, especially in situations like this. Arizona Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you.
Thank you.